And not even a barrage of atmospheric rivers this winter could solve the water problems that have created new hazards at the Buena Vista Golf Course near Taft. And it's no mirage. The operators are facing a big increase in water costs that could eventually result in its closure. I visited with Club Pro Chad Sorensen about the challenge of keeping it running on a limited budget.
We've been doing all we can, and we have people that are screaming at us that we're not doing enough.
But Chad Sorensen says he and his small staff of workers are literally wearing every hat in the pro shop to keep this course on the county's west side open.
The owner, operator, cart mechanic if I have to be. Tell you what, the only one that I don't want is what my superintendent does, and he works his butt off trying to keep this thing going.
From cutting the grass.
So you're saying all that big thick rough in front of the first green was not intentional?
Not supposed to be there. It wasn't there. Do you know how many balls we're going to run over when we start mowing that here, hopefully next week?
To trimming trees and cutting back on watering. Sorensen says he's doing anything he can think of to cut costs.
Cut about as far as we can, and we're trying to keep the golf course looking good, and we've done a pretty good job. People like playing out here, but it's just not close enough to town for people to be regulars out here.
He says they nearly shut down in 2019 when the rounds of golf dropped from a high of 80,000 a year to around 20,000. Currently, Buena Vista averages about 32,000 rounds, the lowest of the three public courses run by the county. And Sorensen says the cost to keep the greens green is about to skyrocket.
North of $500,000 a year in a few years to water the golf course. And when you bring in, about 1.5 and you're throwing out $500,000 just to water it, you kind of see the writing on the wall.
Standing on the 10th green, you might have a misconception that the water problems are solved. You've got the California Aqueduct right there, and then behind it, you've got hundreds, maybe thousands of acres underwater. The result of all of this atmospheric river from this winter, but all of that water won't solve any of the problems here.
About 11 years was the last rate increase.
I sat down with Greg Hammett, general manager of the West Kern Water District, in March. They provide water to the golf course, along with customers from Maricopa to McKittrick and all points in between. He says he recognized all the changes that Sorensen is making to reduce water usage, but says he's also being hit with increased costs.
Over the last 10 or 11 years, the cost of materials, labor, especially in the last year or so, we've got supply chain issues, pipes and valves and all different equipment that we've got to purchase to keep the system running.
Former County Chief Administrative Officer Ryan Alsop was working on possible solutions, and Sorensen says he's also reached out to longtime friend and supervisor Zach Scrivener for help.
The only problem is it just takes a long time to move a boulder up a hill, and with the amount of money that's going out with the water bill now, especially, that boulder is coming down pretty fast.
And any cosmetic changes to save water, like converting to a desert landscape or finding another water source, just isn't financially viable.
They're expecting us to be, Bakersfield Country Club or Stockdale Country Club or Seven Oaks or something, and we don't have the money they have. The county's doing as much as possible. They're moving fairly fast now. Hopefully it can be we can find a solution.
Now, if Buena Vista were to shut down, it would join a long list of closures that couldn't survive, including Valley Grande on the east side, Sycamore Canyon in Arvin, Wasco Valley Rose, Horse Thief in Tehachapi, and Kern Valley Golf Course near Kernville.